Alright, well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Fully Tilted. This time, we're going to play some matches with our black and red land destruction deck that we did a deck tech for earlier in the week. If you guys would like to see the deck list or the deck tech, the links are in the description below, so make sure to check those out. But other than that, guys, let's get into some games and see how it goes. Alright, and welcome to Game 1. This is our opening hand. We've got 3 lands and some land destruction, plus some removal, so we're going to keep this. So it looks like our opponent mulligans to 5, which is unfortunate for them, but we're going to start off, so we'll lead with a mountain and pass the turn. Our opponent leads with a mountain, and it looks like he's going to be playing something else. So a firebrand, so we're probably looking at a red deck wins. We'll attack for 1. Drop the swamp and pass the turn. We don't really have anything else to play at this point. So he drops a swamp, which makes me think he's now playing pirates. Which is fine. It's a little bit of a slightly less aggressive deck than red deck wins, which is good for us. Aggro is probably one of the hardest matchups for a deck like this since we have kind of a slow start. Plays Dire Fleet Captain, which gets +1 for each other attacking when he attacks, so it's kind of nice that he doesn't have haste, but it is something that we're going to want to remove pretty quickly. Drop it on the mountain and pass the turn. So he's going to get in for a bunch this turn, and then he's going to play Rigging Runner with Rage, which is fine. And we drew a Sweltering Suns, which is pretty much perfect at this point, so we'll just wipe the board. That top deck could not have been more perfect, to be honest. So he drops a Kite Sail, so he can remove something from us. Vraska's Contempt is probably his best bet, but we'll see what he removes. And so he's going to take the Contempt, which is fine because we have Ifnir Deadlands that we can sack later on once we need to. So we're going to destroy his 1 black source and keep him off black for a little while. Spreading Rod's great because it also does 2 damage to our opponent as well. Play a Demolish, remove one of his other lands. Now he's only down to 1 land. With Pirates, he's got a few options that he can play for 1 land, but honestly not much. We take another 1, which is no big deal. And so we'll drop Bloodfast so that we can start drawing some cards. We are getting a little low on life, which makes Bloodfast kind of a gamble, but that's alright. Play another Demolish, remove his land that he just dropped. It's kind of the one major downfall with land destruction is they can keep dropping lands. So while you do kind of set them back, it doesn't prevent them from really continuing to build up their resources. But at this point, since we have nothing else to do, might as well kill the Kite Sail. So we'll sack the Ifnir Deadlands, get our Contempt back. Our opponent just says nice to us, which is always nice. The emotes in this game are okay. I wish there were a few more, but it is what it is. So Fathom Fleet Captain can be good if he's got enough resources, mana, to start producing some tokens, but we're going to Bloodfast and pull an Amulet, which is huge. That's pretty awesome. So we're going to drop the Amulet. pass the turn. So he's back up to 3 lands at this point, which, I mean, we're this deep into the game. You should have plenty more, but, you know, allowing him to get back up to 3 isn't necessarily ideal for us, but it is what it is. So he's going to play Flagship, which gives his other pirates, you know, some +1/+0, I believe. And so he's going to crew it, which is honestly a really weird move because it has Summoning Sickness. I'm not quite sure why, and he wouldn't just attack with the Fathom Fleet Captain. What this does is it opens up a hole for us to Vraska's Contempt it, and then we actually, you know, get another counter on our Primal Amulet, which is really nice. And he's going to crew it himself. I don't know what he just did there, to be honest. It was kind of a weird move. So we're going to keep this slew so that we can cycle it if we need to. And we're going to get rid of the Fathom Fleet Captain. Put another counter on our amulet. Hopefully we get to flip it soon. And we'll just pass the turn. We've got plenty of mana up so that we can cycle, we can draw. Another Dire Fleet Captain. So we're going to draw, see if we can draw into some removal right now. So, not removal, per se. Cycle the slew, see if we can draw into it. We won't have anything to be able to use at this point, but it's okay. Still just working for answers at this point. So we're going to sack our Ifnir to kill the captain. And then we will Violent Impact his, once again, only black source. And we are 1 counter away from flipping our amulet. Another Demolish, which is awesome, so we'll get him down to 1 and flip our amulet, which is perfect. Since we have nothing else to do, might as well draw, see what we can pull. We'll draw again, bringing us down to 5 life. So we don't want to flip it. We have no creatures to sack, so it doesn't really do us any good. Memorial of War is really nice. It does come into play tap, which isn't a problem for us right now because we can sack it later on. So we're going to activate the Wellspring and play Spreading Rot. He only has 1 land, and this should basically negate our second one since we're removing it already, but we'll see what happens. We remove his land, he takes 2, and the other one fizzles because it has no legal targets. That's right. Decline again, play the swamp, and we'll just sack the Memorial to destroy his last land. We don't really need the land, so and we'll keep the Spreading Rot in case he gets ahead of us and can drop 2 lands or something like that. Decline again. I wish there was kind of like in MTG Arena always decline or some type like that. So we pulled a Doomfall. So we are going to pick apart his hand. We get to do it twice now, which is really nice. So no lands, got a couple creatures that we can remove just to make sure, because his creature removal does nothing to us, and if we remove his creatures, he can't use the Cutlass. So it looks like whatever he drew does him no good. and we drew a land. So not much we can do here. So we drew a duress, so we can, you know, double this up, look at his hand again, and remove some things again. And that's the great thing about this deck, is it removes all resources. So we'll remove March of the Drowned in case he ever drops a land, and I guess the Cutlass, since his creature removal does nothing to us. So we've pretty much got him locked out of everything at this point, and now we're just basically waiting to draw our finisher in Angrath or Lightning Strike. So I'm just gonna sit here and play the, you know, draw go game, I guess. Another duress, so we get to pick apart his hand some more, which is kind of nice. So I guess we'll take the puncturing blow, doesn't really matter. And the Reaver Ambush, again, none of it really matters at this point. He does have a bunch of creatures in his hand again, but he still has 0 land. So we drew another Bloodfast. So at this point, next turn, we can flip the one that's on the field, get us some more mana, and then we can play our new one. This way, if we do draw Angrath, we can always hijack one of his creatures and then sack it to our temple. And he still draws nothing. So here's a Lightning Strike, which is kind of nice. So we can Wellspring, and we'll do 6. Draws nothing, no land, so can't play anything. At this point, must be pretty frustrating for our opponent. He's got a full hand and can't do anything with it, which is kind of the name of this game, or at least this deck. Remove the resources of your opponent so that they literally sit there and can't do anything. A little bit different than a blue-based control deck that just basically says no. We're basically going to say, well, you can play that, and then we're going to remove it. And another Lightning Strike, which is awesome. And so this will bring him down to 4. And it looks like our opponent's stuck with a full clutch again and still can't do anything. Demolish, which does us no good right now since he has no lands to destroy. And he finally pulls a land, and it comes into play tapped, which is probably pretty infuriating for him. And we drew our Lightning Strike, so at this point we should be able to kill him completely. So we'll just Spreading Rot, bring him down to 2. And then, not that it's super necessary, but we will Wellspring and cast our Lightning Strike twice. And that should be game. Yep, our opponent good games us. And that's it. Nice job, guys. And that's how that deck works. Alright, and welcome back for game 2. Our opening hand has 4 lands, a Divest, Lightning Strike. So we've got some decent things to work with. We're going to keep it. We lead off, so we're going to play the Swamp and Divest to see what we're working against. And it looks like another red and black pirate deck. So we're going to take the Fathom Fleet Captain because that's the nearest thing he can play with. Drops a mountain and passes the turn. We will also do the same, drop a mountain and pass the turn. So we pulled a Kite Sail Freebooter, which is fine because we can just remove it with our Lightning Strike, so he can't take anything from us, which is nice. We pulled another Divest, which is kind of nice. We know he has 3 Dire Fleet Neckbreakers. And those things can kind of be a pain, especially when they start to chain themselves on top of each other, so we'll remove one of them. Alright, so we drew the Memorial of War, and while it is good to play that, if we drop the mountain and demolish his black source, then he can't drop his Neckbreaker next turn. Trying to preserve our life total a little bit here. Another Dire Fleet Captain. And we drew a Contempt. So we can drop the Memorial of War and then basically pass the turn. So he's now got the 4 to drop the Neckbreaker, which is going to give his attacking Dire Fleet +2/+0, which isn't ideal. So we're going to Contempt that to preserve our life total. However, no, it might have also been more advantageous to kill the Neckbreaker. So we're gonna drop the Argyle's Bloodfast and pass the turn. Unfortunately, we don't have enough mana to also sack the Memorial of War and keep him off the mana. Because now he can drop another Dire Fleet Neckbreaker, which they can chain off of each other. So we're going to take 7, which is not great by any means. And he's going to play a Rigging Runner. So what we really need right now is a Sweltering Suns. So let's draw, figure out what we pull. And we just pull a land, not great. And a Demolish, also not great. We don't really have any outs at this point. So I think better off is to draw and see if we can pull the Suns. And just another Memorial of War. So at this point, he has no cards in hand. Doesn't really matter what we destroy as far as land. And it's pretty much game over at this point. So we lose. It's all right. You know, if we had drawn the Suns, it would have been a different story. But it is what it is. All right, and welcome back for Game 3. Our opening hand has 3 lands in it and some removal. We do have Sweltering Suns, which is always nice, but we're lacking the red sources for it. But I think we'd keep this. It's all going to depend on what we're playing against, whether or not we even need the Suns. Our opponent drops a swamp, so we'll do the same and pass the turn. Drops another swamp and plays Trespasser's Curse, which literally does nothing for them against us. We have no creatures, so it's literally useless. Looks like we're playing against some form of mono black curse control, maybe? And a Power Stone Shard, which is an interesting thing to pull. We'll drop the Field of Ruin, and we will Doomfall, see exactly what it is we're working against here. So, yep, looks like some form of mono black control, another Trespasser's Curse, which is useless, and a Ravenous, which is useless. So we're going to pull the Mastermind's Acquisition, so that he can't pull anything out of his deck, or even a sideboard if he has one. Another Trespasser's Curse, which again does nothing against us. So we'll drop the If Near Deadlands and drop the Primal Amulet. This is going to really help us later on when we need to start, doubling up on spells or things like that. Land destruction is fun and all, but it's a lot less fun when you're playing against a mono color deck, because all of their lands basically do the same thing. So we're not trying to shut them off from a color source or anything like that. So we'll Spreading Rot, remove one of his lands, bring him down to 18. And now while Spreading Rot's normally a 5 mana card, with Primal Amulet on the field, it only costs 4, which is really nice. Having the Primal Amulet has been huge in previous games, to the point where I actually think I almost want another one. So we will Duress to see what his other card is, and this will also get us another counter on our Primal Amulet so that we can start flipping it sooner. Moment of Craving, again, doesn't do anything against us, but we'll take it either way. This way he can't use it on one of his own creatures to gain some life for himself down the road. Eldest Reborn does nothing against us. We have no creatures or planeswalkers to sacrifice. And we're going to cycle Sweltering Suns. It doesn't look like he's playing a lot of creatures, so it doesn't really do us much good. We'll see what we draw instead. So we'll drop the Bloodfast to allow us to start drawing some cards. It doesn't look like he's really attacking our life total, so we're not too concerned about it. And another Spreading Rot to remove one of his cards, his lands, and to bring him down to 16. And so we're going to lose the Contempt, which is fine. It does us no good right now anyway. He doesn't seem to be playing a lot of creatures again, so not a big deal. He's going to play the Ravenous Chupacabra, which doesn't destroy anything, so it's not, again, that big of a deal. We'll Doomfall and have him exile it. This will flip our Amulet, which is awesome. He can't even pull anything back because there's no creatures or planeswalkers in any of the graveyards. So literally, his Eldest Reborn was useless. So we're going to sack the Memorial and destroy one of his lands. Again, just trying to, remove all of his resources that we can. So here's where the fun really gets to start, right? So we've got Wellspring up, can demolish. This gets us two lands for the price of 1. But why not just take the shard, just in case, right? He's going to be down to 3 lands. Might as well take the shard just to be safe. And our opponent scoops, and that's how you get them to rage quit.
Alright guys, now that we just played 3 matches with it, we win 2-1. So overall not too bad. We faced a lot of aggro, which in all honesty this deck should struggle against until it gets going. But we saw a few flaws in the game. Realistically, right, in Game 1, we just kind of sat there until we could kill them with lightning strikes. Game 2, you know, aggro, and we didn't draw our Sweltering Suns, which is kind of unfortunate. Game 3 went pretty well, and they just kind of like rage quit, which kind of happens. Overall, I'm pretty happy with the deck. I would change it up a little bit, to be honest. Probably get rid of Divest. We have plenty of ways of removing creatures, so I'm not too worried about that. Maybe up the duress count a little bit. Doomfall and Sweltering Suns, Lightning Strike is good. Vraska's Contempt is good. Demolish and Violent Impact. Probably actually go with 4 Violent Impact and 4 Demolish maybe, or maybe swap it, go 4 and 2. Primal Amulet, I almost want a third one, to be honest. They're really, really good. Angrath was nowhere to be seen, and honestly I don't think he's going to be that good, so I'd honestly look for another finisher, and I might actually consider Torment of Hailfire. There are a lot of games where we kind of went longer in it and we had plenty of mana to kind of sink into a Torment, plus if we can copy a Torment with a Primal Wellspring, then that would pretty much be game. I think that would be a better finisher for this deck than Angrath would, so that might be something that I would switch out as well. And then I really liked the ability to copy Lightning Strike and go to the face, so Fight with Fire may be something that I would consider as well, adding in works as creature removal, and then, you know, if we can kick it later on, since we should have the mana, and then copy it with a flipped Wellspring, pretty much would be game at that point too, so that might be something to consider as well. But other than that, pretty happy with it. It's not like a top tier deck by any means, but it can definitely be fun to play. Everyone just kind of loves to see their opponent rage quit. So, yeah, guys, that's about it. I hope you liked this series. If you guys want to see kind of a revamped version 2.0 of this, by all means, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to do it. But other than that, if you like the videos, please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Thanks, guys.